Welcome. This is the Late Late Show with BT, where views with security and law are being provided to you, the public. Today we'll be reading from Women's Day, December 2015, January 2016, Everyday Rachel Ray, March 2016, Esquire, September 2015, The Oprah Magazine, March 2016, Maxim, September 2015, and Marie Claire, June 2016. So that's Women's Day, December 2015, January 2016, Everyday Rachel Ray, March 2016, Esquire, September 2015, The Oprah Magazine, March 2016, Maxim, September 2015, and Marie Claire, June 2016. The book is African Dance by Kari Amu Welsh. So I wasn't going to start with this, but I like to keep it live and it's on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and start with it. Ask 100 women, there's nothing sexier than a guy who wears number 15, a shirt that is fit to the body. It's so much better than those that go down to his thighs. 22 is a dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up and jeans rolled up a bit to show off his dress boots. 69, a tucked in shirt buttoned down only slightly. 90, a crisp suit without a tie and a shirt button or two open. There's nothing sexier than a guy who wears. So in formal reporting by Jonathan Evans, President Obama, Patrick Ewing is always tough on somebody so tall because the proportion changes. On a 7-foot person, you have to spread the buttons so much that it really needs to be a 4-button suit to look like a 3-button suit would look on another person. Victor Cruz, we had to be conscious that it wasn't tight. 3 big questions. The bespoke shirt FAQs. 3 big questions to ask as you build a personalized shirt. Should there be a chest pocket? I would say no, because not too many people can wear a chest pocket. So the answer would be no. The big tail. How's your buttonhole? Well, to have a good buttonhole, you have to have a good button. Michelle Ruiz. It's this weird sexism, guys who think I'm a nice guy, but actually they're sexist because they think I have to be responsible for everything this woman thinks and feels. And he aims to cement his new status with me. Become the man women want, a dating manifesto about how to be a man you can be proud of, co-written with PhD in evolutionary psychology at the University of New Mexico. In a publicity stunt to be a buzz for the 2009 movie version of I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, he gleefully incited protests at college speaking engagements, hiring PR strategists to email college women's groups outraged denunciations of Max in his books, sometimes even pretending to be a concerned female student. The guerrilla marketing ploy worked, sparking anti-Max demonstrations and bringing the press coverage he desperately craved. At 39, Max now claims to have put all that behind him. As for the debauchery of his 20s and most of his 30s, he says that history is precisely what qualifies him to be a dating expert. Mate is surprisingly earnest, advising men to get your head straight, read books, and work out, both to become more attractive to women and to build self-confidence, as well as shower regularly and clip their toenails. It's all pretty rich coming from a guy who once charmed an aspiring model over a romantic dinner of stone crab claws washed down with a $110 bottle of Merlot, then had his buddy hide in the closet and filmed him having anal sex without informing her she was on camera. I knew better, but she was way too hot to bother correcting her assumption. But those stories are why guys will listen to the advice. They know I'm not trying to tell them that I'm perfect. But he also saw an opportunity to write a book that could steer young men in the right direction. I can remember what it was like to be totally lost and totally frustrated and totally sad and alone and not understand how to move forward, Max said. It may not come as much of a surprise when Max's toxic bachelor persona masked deep-seated emotional issues. They were just terrible at being parents. But what I disagree with is the radical gender feminists who believe there's no biological difference between men and women. When it comes to the battle between gender feminists and men's rights trolls, Max says, they're both awful and I hate both of them. No, Max says bluntly, if my books came out now, they'd probably sell even more because they'd be even more taboo. After he wraps up his podcast, I join Max and Veronica for a paleo-friendly 5:30 p.m. dinner of beef heart tartare and house-made andouille sausage at Salt and Thyme, a rustic farm-to-table butcher shop in East Austin. Max baby talks to Bishop, whom he calls Monke. He's the butt of the joke in a lot of them, she says. Well, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to read the book on how you videotape having anal sex with someone without her permission or her knowledge, or someone being in the closet. No pun intended. Um, and I don't really like the title, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, just because I recently found beer in the Bible, and I don't believe that, like, I'm sorry that, well, not really sorry, but I don't think that they would serve beer in hell. Um, but that's my opinion. Because I found beer in the Bible. Chris Cornelis. There's also juicy fruit and Girl Scout cookies varieties made by two different growers, presumably battling it out to see who can get sued first. He is turning pot into a legit investment because he sees a fortune to be made when control of a $40 billion industry moves from those who are passionate about smoking pot to those who are passionate about making money. He wants to build the Budweiser of Bud, the Wheaties of weed, the McDonald's of Mary Jane, products that are the big, bright, shiny brands that people can point to and say, that's what the end of prohibition looks like, he says. You may be familiar with Heffler's work. It's the branding firm that's named Starbucks. It was never going to be just a stoner's paradise. But once the man just might be the stoner's best friend. He wanted it to be them, but slowly pot began to shed its stigma. The medical marijuana delivery app Ease, which is angling to become the Uber of pot, with Snoop Dogg's Casa Verde Capital as an investor, closed a $10 million funding round this spring. And this past January, Kennedy made the biggest news of all, announcing a multi-million dollar investment from Founders Fund, the venture capital firm created by PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, known for early investments in the likes of Airbnb, SpaceX, and Spotify. The big answer for us was, would there be an opportunity to build a multi-billion dollar mass scale company that could really help to drive the end of prohibition and also build a huge business, explains Founders Fund partner who led the investment. For all our investments, we want to believe we're going to help improve the world in some way. That's big talk, but Kennedy is building the kind of company to back it up. But behind the scenes, Leafly is actually Privateer's data mine, helping it to build the most sophisticated, granular understanding of cannabis consumer desires in existence. The company has also seen a spike in users identifying as vapers rather than smokers, and there has been a notable uptick in interest in edibles. Despite Kennedy's dismissal of pop culture, he does pander at least this once. Yes, the Marley in question here is Bob Marley. The late singer's estate has signed on to the brand, and it will be going up against the competing Willie's Reserve, a celebrity brand launched by Willie Nelson. That way, consumers will be introduced to the brand even though they can't gain access to its main product. But the ambitions here are far larger. While the federal ban is in effect in the United States, Privateer is using Tilray as its staging ground. True, but pharmaceutical companies aren't typically developing new drugs for the day they become available at your local bodega. Before Tilray moved in, the little island city was suffering from a slowdown in its timber industry and known only for a locally made chocolate wafer snack called a Na-Namo bar. Tilray created hundreds of jobs. Our investors are looking for a financial return, Kennedy says, but they're also looking for a social return measured by ending the harms caused by prohibition. We don't want people getting faced every night, says the owner of the PDA Lounge, a one-time bar that's now a medical marijuana dispensary. With Leafly, he will be busy turning smokers into easily commodified data points. So I'm definitely supportive of medical marijuana. Um, and not just to smoke weed, but um, you know, I remember, getting in trouble. I just turned 18, and I was smoking weed at that time, and um, it does have a relaxing effect to it that, I think, people do a lot of different things to keep themselves sane, to keep their, um, you know, their mind above water, um, to stay away from depression, and some use weed as one of those ways. Yeah, of course, where it's legal, or they are, have a prescription for medical marijuana. So I'm definitely um, am for that. The best briefcases, totes, backpacks, portfolios, gym bags, and weekenders to carry you through winter and any other season. The backpack, the briefcase. I, have like my favorite backpack. It's a United Nations backpack, but it has zipper challenges, so sometimes it pops open and looks like it's open when it's not. I lost my phone, but the good thing about that, because I had it in the front pocket of it, but the good thing about that is that I have a smartphone now, which I didn't have before I lost it. And the briefcase, I can't say that I really have anything that could be identified as a briefcase. More like bags, um, laptop bags, but not specifically a briefcase. Just because I don't consider a briefcase as something you put a laptop in. But they could have briefcases made for laptops. Tie bar, the tie bar. Why the blazer is the sexiest piece of clothing you can own. I like blazers, but I definitely wouldn't call it the sexiest piece. But there is something about a blazer that has an element of responsibility, to it. That's more than just business. Um, so you definitely want to, if you're purchasing or in the market for a blazer, to choose a company that's professional and morally present, ethically present, and that they have a grasp on family morals, especially when it comes to extended families, and how to have extended families and blended families without, while still being with the Word of God, while still being with the Holy Spirit. John Barbados. Some places downtown do amazing brunch. Selden Standard has a killer baked egg dish. Gold Cash Gold makes the best pickle brine, fried chicken and waffles. But nothing kills a hangover better than a dog from Lafayette, Coney Island. B. The Evolution. John Sciarrino. If this past NFL season taught us anything, it's that big catches for big yards win games. The game's practice arena will drill you on the right routes to run, so you know when to risk it all and head deep, or when to run that button hook for that short game. Madden's coaching teaches you to read defenses and react accordingly. Call audibles if you're rethinking a run, or punish an opponent by throwing the bomb when their coverage breaks down. So I like the team approach when it comes to any sport. Um, I prefer not putting one player as if that player is the team, unless the team chooses to play in that person's ID for however long, the game lasts, then it still qualifies as a team, such as a Tom Brady. The team that says, we're going to play in a Tom Brady, it still qualifies as a team. The Coffee Table Book. Closet cleaning isn't about asking if your clothes still fit your body. The real question is, do they fit your life? Lisa Kogan. I chosen for this idea, I got into my head of how someone like me was supposed to live, but they had nothing to do with my actual life. She seems both relieved and exhilarated as it glides down the hall, and she turns back to see her once crowded closet getting roomier. What remains should be the stuff that feels easy, soft, a little more subtle, and a lot more liberating. They will be the clothes that match your current life. They were very architectural, so not everyone could wear them, but they worked for me no matter what size I was. In either case, my clothes would be living their best life. Just pop the items in a box, drop it in the mail using a prepaid shipping label provided by the site, and let someone else do the work. So I am participating with the sweepstakes for this house, and it has this master closet. And I'm like, I so see God in that closet. I have taken care when it comes to purchasing and buying, and I just would like a closet, of that nature that is worthy of the pieces that I bought. You want, so I've been thinking a lot. That being said, I've been thinking a lot about being a public person and doing what it takes to be that. And going, and if I have to, because, instead of trying to change certain things like my weight, beforehand, sometimes, like, Jennifer Hudson, sometimes you have to go through that with the public, because even when you're not, maybe, because I feel even though I'm not public now, the public is going through my life with me, just when we're doing this YouTube show, even it's reaching people and it's touching people just from me, being present in what is a magazine, being present in what is a publication, and being present in what is editing and writing and celebrity and the being public and security and law and having views, just being present in it. And so having people that's going through what I'm going through, just and going through the process of having a diet that correlates with my release, um, it becomes a situation where I'm open to becoming public and losing the weight and becoming a stricter disciplinarian with the diet as a public person. Jennifer Wolf Perrine, being there. Her most intimate connection appeared to be with someone who didn't exist, a floor-banging stalker who she imagined had followed her from apartment building to apartment building, always managing to move in directly above her. To her siblings, she was the baby sister who was orphaned just as she graduated from college. My mother, especially, had always looked out for her until she fell chronically ill and couldn't anymore. Just days before the surgery that would confirm her fate, the tumors in her stomach were inoperable. She would die soon. Barbara named me one of her two health proxies. The other was her best friend. When complications from chemo forced her off the drugs that had allowed her to be halfway sane, that is exactly what happened. During the final weeks of Barbara's life, I began to feel as though I were completely losing hold of myself. My life as a wife and mother, my professional identity, and my sense of self as a good and decent person. When someone tells you over and over that something is wrong with you, that you are malicious and untrustworthy, you can begin to believe it, even when you know your accuser is insane. The last time I saw Barbara, I sat at her bedside with her psychiatrist, the one behind the magical medication cocktail that had given her life the look of normalcy. It was disconcerting to be with this man who knew so much about me, all of it from Barbara's perspective. She struggled to swallow, and my eyes began to burn from the tears I was holding back. Being there can sometimes be a challenge. I had to go through that myself. Being there, being a caregiver, and when the person that you're caring for makes ill decisions, and it impacts your life, it impacts your freedom, and you know that person's not in their right mind, but you still have to care, because that's who that person is in your life. It's not a person that you can dishonor. So I definitely understand the challenges of being there, that being there can cause the breakdown. And the breakdown to it is that, there are some people that you still have to honor throughout whatever it is they're going through, mentally, physically, psychologically, but you still have to, speak over yourself what you need to stay afloat and adrift, and especially speak over yourself what is necessary to keep yourself safe from that person's behavior. But what happened in my situation is the person was put in a residence that made things safer. Where there was staff and 24-hour staffing, and that could be a witness to certain things throughout her health challenges. Don Brown, manager of the National Alliance on Mental Illness Information Helpline. We find that a well-informed and supportive loved one is really the best indicator that a person will be able to reach and sustain some form of recovery. I think that's important too, to have somebody that's not just well-informed on mental illnesses, but someone who is well-informed on the person, and get the person, why the person is in their life, why the person still has a purpose, even though they may be experiencing mental or physical challenges. having those type of supports is important. Um, you know, The Absolute Proof That Beyonce Is My Soulmate by Joseph Zambrano. The cover letter that got me an internship at O and set me up to become Gayle King's assistant 2 years later was about Beyonce's then unborn baby. Lee Williams. One day while waiting for my Xanax and Zoloft prescriptions to be filled, I wandered into a PetSmart. We went to a car and she pulled out a tiny box. Sleeping inside was a baby rat no bigger than my thumb, nestled in wadded paper towels. Mine grew up big and boisterous, and I learned the timbre and tone of his different squeaks. When he grew too big to sleep in my pocket, he slept in my palms. Since I met him, I've never been able to find my way back to those pits of impossible sadness. So I am definitely not interested in keeping a rat. Everyone has their purpose, and I get that the Chinese, which reminds me to look that up. The Chinese has where, depending on the year that you were born, you could be a rat or a snake or the Chinese astrology. And it goes by year, I believe, and not month. And there are 12 animal signs. There's the year of the rat, year of the ox, year of the tiger, year of the rabbit, year of the dragon, year of the snake, year of the pig, year of the dog, year of the rooster, year of the monkey, year of the sheep, and year of the horse. But even though there are 12 of them, it doesn't go by month. So there is one person I wanted to look up. I already know that mine says the year of the snake. But I'm gonna check this because they have a where you can put in your birth date to see where you are. So I'm gonna put it in just to see what it says. And yeah, it is the snake. It's in the bag. Fit to be happy, fit to be confident, fit to be powerful. The bacteria in your belly may play a much larger role in your overall health than you think. So I try to keep what I put in clean so that I don't have any bacterial problems. Even, if I eat out, I still try to have, it clean and sanitized the best that I could use. The only thing that I have to use is water. So if you were wondering what the Chinese sign is of the person that I was thinking of, they are the year of the rabbit. So he is a rabbit and I'm a snake. So we got the year of the rabbit and the year of the snake. Twice a week, I go to a beauty salon and have my hair blown dry. So, as I mentioned earlier about, the things people do to keep themselves sane and keep their mind afloat. Some people use medical marijuana, and she goes twice a week to a beauty salon and have her hair blown dry. Because I'm assuming it's something that's um, peaceful and soothing for her. I was about to begin the third year of my first talk show, the Queen Latifah Show, and a voice inside me said I shouldn't be doing this. I knew I wanted to be an actor, though I don't look like your typical A-list star. Hearing it zapped me back to reality and wiped my worries away. Queen Latifah, excerpt to Joseph Zambrano. Melissa Goldberg, I want to thank Beyond Windows and Lampshades, she said. Green might not be making lampshades, but she does employ the Tiffany method. Yes, that Tiffany, to bring her designs to life. For each piece, she begins with tracing outlines onto sheets of colored glass. My pieces are meant to be handled, said Green. The joints need to be perfect. So, question. What's the most significant relationship in your life right now? Florentine, the physical therapist who was trying to fix my constant lower back pain. Well, the question again is, what's the most significant relationship in your life right now? I'm going to say Jesus, my Savior, because I've been going through a lot. There's been a lot of challenges that I had to go through to get to the point where I could lead mentally. And I can, communicate from a mental health standpoint, and know who I am in it. And, I've been in not only that, but knowing who I am in parenting. And when it comes to parents and different types of parents. And, I have 7 more days before I'm up against, so where, I'm calling on Jesus, and the blood of Jesus, where, you just have the same offender continuously to go after you for a little bit of things. And, I have to believe that blood of Jesus is going to keep me. And that I am genuinely in God's grace. That the blood of Jesus, the water of Christ, did not wash off me. And that I am protected. Everything about me is protected. And my freedom of speech is protected. So again, that's May 10th. So I have 7 more days before I have either proof that my freedom of speech is protected, or I'm still in a danger zone, because I may have talked about this, but I was having a lot of severe issues in like 2006, 2007, and 2009. For a year, I stayed in this terrible group place. It was absolutely horrible. I would go to the water just to, and stay there as long as I could, just to have a sane, just to keep a sane perspective, and to keep me in that situation, because I had to deal with it for a year. And so, 2010, I moved to New York to kind of get to a different environment. got safer, um, and there was safe challenges there as well. But it really, um, so I didn't have the vast experience when I went to New York. So I ended up coming back to Virginia, and here we are again. So, um, again, the most significant relationship in my life right now is the blood of Jesus and what it represents when it comes to trials and tribulations. Charles Charles P. Pierce. A hot day to bury someone. Automobiles and motorcycles were parked willy-nilly all around the intersection of Crowder and Morrison, stashed side by each on the grass in the island dividing the boulevard, overwhelming the parking lot of the barbecue meat place and the check cashing joint a little ways down from the intersection. Occasionally there was the brief flash of a siren just to clear the road. There was going to be a funeral at St. Maria Goretti, and nobody wanted to be late. All over the spreading lawn in front of the church, cops in formal uniforms stood in small groups, tugging their tight collars, angling for what little breeze there was. He was there because Daryl Holloway had gone to St. Augustine High School with his stepson, Mallard Gales. That was the way it was on that bright, hot morning. By then, all of Cherry Hospital was an emergency department. One of Holloway's friends showed a picture to New Orleans Times Picayune columnist Jarvis Dayberry, in which Holloway is leading a family out of the attic of their flooded house, where they had been trapped for several days. There is a more famous picture of Daryl Holloway. It was taken by a doctor named Bennett DeBlois Blanc, who had been running the critical care department throughout the storm and the long, painful week that followed. The background in the photo looks as though someone were playing a trick with the camera. Everything in it, a car, a fallen street sign, what appears to be a street lamp, stands atop its own inverted reflection. It takes a moment before you realize what you're seeing there behind the picture of the exhausted Daryl Holloway. Everything in the background is floating. That was the story that they told on the bright hot morning on which they buried him. At one level, Slyman found a cache of gold and jewelry that he pronounced to be the treasure of Queen, the king of Troy at the time of the events of the Iliad. The gold had been found in what later was determined to be only Troy II. There are bronze arrowheads there, and skeletons bearing the marks of horrendous injuries, and there is evidence for a great fire. Parts of the city going man brighter than they ever did. There will be parades on the anniversary of the storm because there are things in the city to celebrate. But it is the tradition of the city that the music doesn't lively up and the parade really doesn't start until the departed has been laid to rest, until what is lost is counted, and until the memories are stored away. Only then do they begin to parade. There will be some joy in the 10th anniversary celebration because of this, but the storm is there in everyone, a dark layer of the archaeology of their lives. For some people, it is buried deeply enough to be forgotten. And because of this, the storm is what unites them still, like that burned layer of Troy. But move a little bit off the main drag, and you see the empty staircases, line after line of them, usually 3 brick steps leading into nothing but the air. Then they sit like disembodied limbs of a great vanished beast. The lower nine always was an island of sorts as the 19th century turned into the 20th. The city fathers from New Orleans decided to build what is now called the Industrial Canal to connect Lake Pontchartrain to the Mississippi River. The new canal bisected the Ninth Ward and created what became known as the Lower Ninth Ward. The polluted waters ripped houses from their foundations, leaving behind only the mute staircases when the waters finally receded. They carried a gigantic barge to the breach in the levee and dropped it on the bus. This was where Daryl Holloway drifted in his tiny boat, listening for muted cries from the houses. And for the next several days in the country, watching amazement and horror, it was the Lower Ninth, and the people who lived there that became the face of the storm. But there also was a thinly veiled contempt for the neighborhood and for the people who lived there. Even later, when the residents were allowed back in, by then Mayor, now Convict, Ray Magrin. They had to convince National Guardsmen to let them back to what was left of their property. Today, along St. Claude, there are small shops and chain drugstores, but the lower nine is still poor and crime is still rampant. The All Souls Episcopal Church and Community Center is a sort of oasis, amid the troubles of the past and the troubled memories of the past. Young children skitter through the halls until they see Happy Johnson, the director of the center, who makes them all go back the way they came and walk like ladies and gentlemen should. You know, people kind of at that brink of despair, hopelessness, kind of trying to figure out how to actually go about rebuilding the lives Johnson recalls. It was easy to do that because of my own childhood. Johnson had lived through all the broken promises and false starts that have marked the life of the lower nines since the storm. By the time the storm was blowing its worst, there were 13 adults and 20 children staying in those four bedrooms. One night, Irma was watching the news and she saw her mother's house and another one belonging to her aunt. If I'm on Tennessee Street and you go up the bridge or you come down or come to where we are at now, Catherine and St. Claude, my house was across the street, but you couldn't go straight across. When you get off the bridge, you couldn't turn. She settled into an apartment in Baton Rouge for several years, where she always wanted to come back to her neighborhood. While she was away, Make It Right, a foundation started by actor Brad Pitt, committed itself to building 150 new homes in the Lower Nine. I got me one of the Brad Pitt houses, she says now with a chuckle. She got the furniture for her new house by volunteering at the Salvation Army Center where they paid her through a kind of impromptu barter system. The morning has begun to glower a little over this small, bright place in the battered Lower Nine, where some of the stairs lead nowhere much at all, but where people still try to climb them. It was a safe place to be poor. It was a safe place to be sick. It was the sixth hospital in New Orleans to bear the name Charity since the first one was opened in 1736 to care for the city's indigent population. Charity's looming hulk is a place big enough in which to see what came before the storm and what came after it, the good and the bad of the history of all at the same time. It spreads blandly over several blocks of what used to be a lower mid-city neighborhood before the storm came and Charity closed, and before the people returned to their homes in lower mid-city at the invitation of the mayor, the city council, and the business community, only to then take eminent domain right in the teeth. Only the basement of the great building had flooded, but that was all the electrical facilities were, and the power went out. So they became sanctuaries. The second part is being told that our salvation depended on somebody else, that we were not able to take care of ourselves. So it was Wednesday morning when people began to get this idea that if we want to get off this rock, we're going to have to do it ourselves. So I want to look up this Make It Right Foundation. And then we'll go back to the story by Charles Pierce. So Make It Right Foundation. We build affordable solar powered homes in communities in need. How we build. Make It Right builds homes and buildings for communities in need. Our homes meet the highest standards in green building. They are inspired by creative thinking. We want to change the building industry to make energy efficient, healthy homes available for everyone. Constantly works to improve our homes, experimenting with materials and construction methods to make our homes more sustainable and affordable. Our work in New Orleans is laboratory for Cultivate the Green Building. We're taking what we learned on our inaugural project and using it to help other communities in need like New Jersey and Kansas City, Montana. We want to share our knowledge with you. That's why we create the library and laboratory. The materials we use are constructed methods, lessons learned, recent discoveries, and data are now available to homeowners, designers, builders, and anyone who is interested in learning more. It was founded by Brad Pitt in 2007. Make It Right builds homes and communities for people in need. All Make It Right projects are creative, inspired, meeting the highest standards of green building. Through innovative partnerships and community-led design sessions, we are working in neighborhoods across the country and educating others to change the way buildings are designed and believed. Make It Right believes everyone has the right to live in a high-quality, healthy home that enhances the natural environment. Communities should be fully engaged in defining their own needs and have a leading role in designing appropriate ways to meet those needs. Design has the power to improve the quality of affordable housing and enhance occupants' living conditions. It also plays a key role in creating vibrant, sustainable communities. Innovation results in affordable building designs, methods, and materials that drive new industry standards for green buildings. Our mission to build safe, creative, and inspired homes, buildings, and communities for people in need. Our vision around the world, people are living in healthy communities and affordable, high quality, environmentally sustainable homes. So it was started in 2007. Um, it's still going on today. They work with people, community partners such as Kohler, Benjamin Moore, Shaw Floors, Owens Corning, Samsung. So how is Brad Pitt involved? Brad Pitt is the founder of Make It Right, a donor and a board member. He is actively involved in our ongoing work. How can I get involved? Can I take a tour, or volunteer? Thanks for asking. Use your many things to support our work. Use your toolbar on the right to follow us on your favorite social media platforms and share our work with friends. Join a discussion on our green building laboratory, take a tour, or volunteer. And I think I am going to like them on Facebook. So I liked them on Facebook. So when Brad Pitt visited New Orleans, Lower Ninth Ward, 2 years later, after Hurricane Katrina, he was shot for the lack of a building progress in the historic working-class community. Many worried the private neighborhood would be forgotten. In a bold move, Pitt committed to help rebuild in the hardest-hit area of the city. Pitt believed that if we could build safe, sustainable homes in the most devastated part of New Orleans, we would prove that high-quality green housing could be built affordably everywhere. Led by Graft Architects, the organization convened 21 world-renowned architects to design climate-adapted, eco-friendly homes informed by William McDonough's cradle-to-cradle design principles. Over the course of many months, Pitt and architects who volunteered their time and work met with Lower Ninth Ward homeowners and community leaders to talk about their rebuilding needs and collaborate on home designs. Make It Right kicked off initial fundraising efforts with the Pink Project in December 2007 and broke ground on the first homes with President Clinton and the Clinton Global Initiative in March 2008. Construction began in June 2008 and the first 6 homes were completed in August 2008. So my question is that was that before or after Mr. and Mrs. Smith? I don't even think that's I don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Smith was in 2005, so it was after Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So back to Charles Pierce. So it was Wednesday morning. People began to get this idea that if we're going to get off this rock, we're going to have to do it ourselves. A subsequent study by RMJM Hillier, one of the world's most prestigious architectural firms, testified to the building's soundness and estimated that it would cost $550 million to convert it to a state-of-the-art hospital and research facility, and without taking out an entire neighborhood in the process. Even more curiously, vandalism began to break out throughout the building, as what happened to places left to sink where they stood. A civil war broke out between the people who wanted to stay charity and the people who needed it to stay closed. I believe that when we released this study and we showed them that if it saved $300 million and we didn't have to destroy a neighborhood, that we could get healthcare and the teaching hospital back in 3 years, that they would be excited. I didn't know I'd become the target after that. They said it had to be studied. The political powers of the state were moving to eliminate the very idea of charity hospital, the idea that animated the 6 hospitals that had borne that name for more than 250 years. 10 years later, there's been a lot of healing, he says. All New Orleanians talk about events pre-K and post-K, before the storm and after the storm. His state of mind will be totally different than mine because he's in the posse. But they once had a place to get well, and that turned out to be the death of it. But there is always in the city the morning before the celebration, the long dirge measuring the life lost that comes before the trumpet calls everyone to joyful celebration of a life well lived. A people is better defined by the everyday things it uses and discards than by what it treasures and preserves. There can be more knowledge to be gained from a shard of broken pottery than from an open chest full of gold. But there is in New Orleans a common human archaeology that persists under everything that is new and everything that is old, that persists under everything that has changed and everything that has remained the same, under everything that was lost forever and under all that has been reborn. Charles Pierce. Brian Fraser. Fill in the blank. So what would you fill in the blank with? Someone just said fill in the blank. I would say in my blank it would be speak peace and love over yourself, always. 50 men looking their best. Here and over the following pages, they share their answers, and from confidence-boosting suits to comfortable jeans, their definitions of what it means to look their best prove there's no one way to think about style. Ronald Roberts, 42. The bold professional elements in this outfit work in a corporate environment, but there's enough flexibility so that if I'm going to another office, I can tone it down. I may lose the bow tie. Steve DeMedici, 63. And it's easier to move wearing jeans, no belt. The boots are real comfortable. Brian Tanner, Columbus, Ohio. What's the best watch in my price range? Something I can wear anywhere, forever. Well, again, it's weird because there's so many brands out there. What would a Brian Tanner wear? You can easily find an interesting watch at, it's just weird because I would say you can find something at Walmart, but I really have to be careful now to support, because where my support goes, because I wouldn't say Swatch, I wouldn't say Timex, because I want more things out there that's in the class that I know and that I'm familiar with, which is another basis of the show. The baseball jacket. Sex with Stacey Woods. So question or statement. My wife only used to be able to order them from missionary, and now she only can when she's on top. So this is Sex with Stacey Woods. I haven't been down there in a while, but there have been no reports of suspicious activity, no unauthorized comings and goings or anything. A little bit of the bladder can hang down to the vagina. The uterus sits down lower in the vagina. The position of the clitoris can change slightly. I'll let you take a minute with that. Before I relay that sex therapist thinks it's possible your wife had never had an orgasm until she was on top and has merely been lying to you for ages. She might have been faking it in the beginning and used the excuse that she needs to be on top as a way to avoid having to be honest. First, she can come only on the bottom, then on top, then on yachts, then with hockey players. After reading your question over many hours for future sentences, should you write any, please know that a well-placed comma and a whereas can save everyone a lot of time. I assume that you're asking why you like real sex, or sex as it was known before the revolution, better than masturbating across various multimedia platforms to the delight of onlookers. And that is unfortunate. It just saves everyone so much trouble down the line. Fewer resources, less stress on the infrastructure, etc. How to buy a custom suit. Buying custom is very difficult because, again, this is viewed through security and law, and, there are some things about ID and naming, that you just can't be privy to because, of Social Security. And those details, with what we have with the show, can get in the way of sharing how you can buy a custom suit. So the only thing that we can share is that you have to go with the general information that's given to you in terms of your measurements and things of that nature. By Charles Pierce. I was already halfway to believing it because I've been taught to believe it. With all due respect, Papa Francesco, just suits, aren't even supposed to be Pope. Since your election, though, your papacy has been bound by that principle of finding God in the world. You explore ideas without binding them so firmly to dogma that they become stunted. In the meantime, you wrote, economic powers continue to justify the current global system where priority tends to be given to speculation and the pursuit of financial gain, which fails to take the context into account. Okay, let's go back. Because yes, because something about this sentence. You explore ideas without binding them so firmly to dogma that they become stunted. It reminds me of someone saying that you're set in your ways, or old dog you can't change the tricks of an old dog. So dogma is a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. So when information is shared with this show of Social Security and law, it is with what we have when it comes to, because what happened was the door began to open when it came to who I am and what my name is, and my last name. And then the door opened to the world of letters and alphabet, and getting what that means to a lot of different things. And so then I tailored in and I settled in on some key topics that the United Nations focuses on, and that is security and law. And I'm still thinking about going to law school, but it's still that belief that like only the sick need doctors, like only the troublemakers need lawyers. So, it's still a thought. In the meantime, you wrote, economic powers continue to justify the current global system where priority tends to be given to speculation in the pursuit of financial gain, which fails to take the context into account, let alone the effects on human dignity and the natural environment. Paul, the sixth misbegotten encyclical on artificial birth control was so far out of touch with how people live their actual lives that even American Catholics realized they could ignore the Pope and receive communion in good conscience. The sex abuse scandal detonated beneath whatever moral credibility on matters of sexuality was left in your office. The fact is that by strictly in the Gospels, as Gary Wills never tires of pointing out, Jesus did not found an institutional church. But of all the popes of my lifetime, you seem to understand best that the only thing left for a pope to do is to teach, and more important, to persuade. But they do now. So I've begun to include the Word of God because I've been, getting into the Bible, and Lately Short VT has some fundamental beliefs of the Bible and statements that grounds it. When it comes to the genre of broadcasting live, when it comes to the genre of late format, and I think that's important. Not just to have a mental ground or a mental foundation, but to have morals and ethics as well. Eat to the beats of Laura, the magic whip. Your love is better than anything else that I've tried. Austin. It bills itself as the live music capital of the world and has 250 plus venues to back the claim. I'm not with the band. These Beechwood plus rocking guitar salad service will have guests singing, "You spinach me right round, baby, right round." Be your own bartender with a top-notch 5-bottle home bar that lets you make pretty much any popular cocktail and costs only $100. Breaking the mold. We got the beat. Eat to the beat. How to build a frosty that will take the best in class this winter. Once you form the bottom and middle snowballs, strap a stick through the center for extra stability. Add some accessories to the middle by filling a spray bottle with water and food coloring and painting on a shirt. So I've never made a snowman. I never even tried to make a snowman during winter, or I just never did that. I never tried to make angels in the snow. Finding the right health insurance doesn't have to be messy. Tiger butter fudge doesn't seem too appealing. I'm not a real big fudge person. Do you want to bake a snowman? Warm up your kitchen with WD's recipes for the best holiday ever. We're dreaming of a white and red Christmas complete with deliciously whimsical desserts to bake and share. So Christmas is, it's time to prepare for at my church the Christmas party. So we've been kind of talking about it and what can be done for Christmas. But I'm hoping that, like Easter, that's something we can come up with something very creative and interesting. When she pops open a beautifully decorated Tory Burch Who de Parfum Rollerball Holiday Clock, she'll find a lovely perfume with peony and tuberose floral notes and a hint of grapefruit. This, it's like grapefruit has seeds, so why is it taking so long to accept it? My taste buds, it took a very long time to accept a grapefruit. Or is it because it's a grapefruit and it's not supposed to have seeds? This L'Occitane Hugs and Kisses Duo and Rose includes a skin-softening hand cream and soothing lip balm to banish winter dryness. Beauty Bar. Donna Duarte lied. A non-clingy cut and a wash of color between the lines make the attention women's blouse. By the book. I was asked am I a literalist when it comes to the Bible, and I can't really say that because of what was given to me with originality in terms of being able to comment about what is written in the Bible. So I can't necessarily say that I'm a when it comes to a sentence, because then it comes where you have to add what it is that was given to you to shed light on what was written in the Bible. So it's like in a way you are a literalist because you're literally going by what is written, but then in a way you're not because you're shedding light, bringing people out of darkness with what was given to you that's not in the Bible. Eric Francis Campolino. Then be sure to listen and take it all in. Yet if you want to be understood and have harmony in relationships, working through the madness and explaining the difficult parts will help you immensely. You may have to be a little less trusting, read the fine print, and ask the tough questions. Your solar chart is describing you're becoming the exact opposite of who you thought you were. The story of your professional life right now is about the balance between trusting in what you are drawn to do and carrying out what you want to achieve. That means you can afford to be generous with your knowledge, time, and abilities. These may be the last things you want to experience, yet they will be the most beneficial. You must be the CEO of your own life. You are becoming someone you never expected to be. So sometimes, I think about my life, and I think about the life that I see myself, because it's, you hear all the time that if you can see it, you can be it. If you can't see it, then it's difficult for you to be it. So you have to start with you seeing it first. And I see I see a life that's where I'm public, and I see a life where I'm financially secure. So I had to ask myself, well, I believe in doing things again and getting an encore. So I had to find and be able to, I had to open myself up to seeing my encore and seeing the elements of what I would have done, of why and how I can get an encore. And so I'm trying to stay in steps with that, keeping and speaking that love over me when it comes to ordering my steps and just staying in order. The Barcode. So I think there's a restaurant or a club called the Barcode, which when I saw like the Barcode actually used, I thought that was an interesting take on, but I'm losing interest when it comes to restaurants and things of that nature. And because I'm gaining interest in a kitchen and grocery stores and gardens. Get behind the bar. The Violet Hours Eden Lawrence, she's the managing partner of the Chicago cocktail bar, the most serious of drinkers make pilgrimage to, shares her pro tips on shaking, stirring, and serving of drinks ahead of her law. Let's say you're making a mojito. You put in the mint, then simple syrup, then citrus, and then booze. If you knock it over or get distracted, it'll always be the same flow. It's going to be cheaper and it's going to taste better. Who's better to troubleshoot your next batch? A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, a new bohemian looking hood just ready to hit the road. That's no mirage with tassels, buckles, and floral embroideries. Summer's hottest accessories embrace the best of the Southwest, which brings us to the home that I'm entering the sweepstakes. It's in the Southwest. And I'm really feeling it has a wet bar, it has a wonderful master bathroom, and a wonderful outside. It has a pool. I can't swim, so that's not necessarily a plus, because what do you do about it? Do you fill it up? Do you turn it into a fountain? What do you do with the pool? Because then if you keep the pool and it's an outside pool and it's not covered, you have to make sure that it's kept clean, all of that nature. and all of that. Um, so it's in, it's, here in the Southwest, can the Southwest use me? You know, I think about being in New York and being in a guy's house in New York and winning a drawing, a raffle drawing, and I just felt like I was in the right place at the right time. That was a part of my encore, and so I think about that when I enter to win. Is it a part of my encore? Is it relevant? Is it me? Is it a win-win situation? An early win-win situation? You know, will this Southwest embrace the best? Because I consider myself to be of the best at what it is that of my encore. Will the Southwest, are they prepared? Are they ready? Is it for them in my encore to embrace and win-win? When beauty retailer Alter asked customers about their beauty influences, they kept hearing the same thing. Women love watching makeup tutorials online, but they were intimidated by the finished looks and had trouble figuring out which bloggers were legit makeup artists. But there are tutorials on the website, FionaStylesBeauty.com, and in some Alter stores on tablets. I like imperfections in beauty. Jennifer Goldstein. It's no longer business as usual in the beauty world. These trailblazing women are disrupting the way we think about everything, from modeling to makeup. When I was younger, going back to the beginning of January Jones, the Hollywood Beauty talks about taking risks on the red carpet and why she prefers bold cuts and braids to boring. Dare we say Betty Draper hair? I don't like sitting in the hair and makeup chair for very long, but I do try to be collaborative when it comes to my character styles. The show started in the mid-1950s and ended in the 60s, but her look, the expensive tailored clothes, the bouffant, the manicured nails, didn't really change that much. Getting your hair done every day for work sounds like a dream come true, but all that backcombing and heat styling can be super damaging. In season 6 of Mad Men, I went from blonde to red to black to blonde all in 4 months. When I was younger, my hair was white, and I liked wearing it short, boy cuts and the bowl cut with the wedge. Bridget Graver did my hair that day, and it was her idea to also do the 2 braids on the sides of my head and have them join in the back. Jennifer Goldstein. Jiggle Lancome's tiny cocktail shake of lip color to blend nourishing oils and pigment and flavor, then swipe it on for a seriously party-ready look. It's the first thing you see on a person before their eyes, then the smile and all the rest. But to me, hair always makes the biggest first impression. Heather Perot. In December 2014, Alexander Lafsky, now 26, co-founded New Story to build houses with total transparency. 100% of donations goes directly to construction, and backers receive a video when a family moves into their new home. The bag. Behind the cover fashion. Behind the cover beauty. So I shared a few things, and we'll go more into sharing in the closing. But right now we have the book segment, which is African Dance by Kariama Walsh. In addition, stilt dancers are often seen as the protectors of a village, as their hiding appearance lends itself to being the village guardian. For the most part, in traditional settings, military, war, and martial arts dances are performed by men, but there are exceptions in some ethnic groups where women participate in or have their own war dances. Social and ceremonial dances are performed in both traditional and contemporary settings, such as a nightclub. Court dances are often rooted in pre-colonial eras in the kingdoms of both male and female African rulers. Unfortunately, little is known about them because of European colonization. Dance enables the initiate or practitioner to progress or travel through several altered states, thereby achieving communication with an ancestor or deity and receiving valuable information that he can relay back to the community. It is useful for the purposes of this book to speak about African culture as an entity. African dance can be classified by the following styles: traditional, neo-traditional, and stylized. Neo-traditional dances are those dances that are created in the spirit or likeness of traditional dances, but do not necessarily come from that particular society, and as a result are not bound to all the aesthetic and cultural rules of that society. Classical dance in general can be defined as representing the best aesthetic ideals of a particular society, recognition of the dance by the masses, and formal or institutionalized instruction either in the courts, by private instruction, or communal learning via festivals. Every important event, birth, death, harvest, and marriage, is commemorated by dance. People dance to express themselves, and the body is the chief vehicle for that expression. Aesthetic values are the aspects of society that are perceived to be beautiful and indicative of the best of that society. Geography, religion, and gender are a few of the influences on dance. Different cultures emphasize particular parts of their bodies based on their belief systems, environment, and physical structures. He chronicles his travel to Africa with remarkable description and detail. The book is invaluable in this regard if one understands the time and context in which it was written. Missionaries, traders, and colonial administrators did not understand the dances that they were viewing and interpreted the dance through their worldview, which saw the dances as antithetical to what they considered to be civilized behaviors. African dance traditions are expected to express moral values, that beauty and power lie in the expression of these values through movements. Achieving a skill is sought after and worked for, but the process in African dance is just as important as the end product. For the Dogon people, the Tiwara, a mythical creature, half animal, half man, is believed to have come down to earth to teach the Dogon people how to cultivate the earth. An example of the prominence of dance in all spheres of African society is the transition between kings. The king was forced by tradition to give over the kingship to the young heir apparent. The beginning of a dance and its end are determined by the event, and as a consequence, the dance is responsive to the endurance of the festival or ritual. This word-of-mouth phenomenon extends to the body as well, and just as the stories are passed down from one generation to another, so are the dances. It was this African influence that brought European art from its impressionistic and realistic stage to the development of abstraction as a major form of art. The qualities of polyrhythm and total body articulation have found their way into modern dance forms, as well as jazz dance and social dances like hip hop. When many African nations gained their independence in the late 1950s and 1960s, one of the first acts was to create national dance companies that would showcase the best of the dancers and to send these companies abroad to promote African culture. In 1884, the Berlin Conference was held with the intention of ending the slave trade and promoting humanitarian efforts in Africa. These influences are manifested namely by the exodus of so many young people in the cities and the periodic return of these people who bring with them changes, new influences, and different perspectives on what had once been an unquestioned and unchallenged part of life. Religion played a central role in the lives of West Africans, and the music, dance, and other arts reflected those belief systems. The leaders sang out a short bit of music, and the people sang it back to them, accompanied by drums and other percussion instruments. Dance facilitates all phenomena and provides a link to both the ancestral world and the divine world. If one is able to conceptualize rhythm as text, then both dance and drumming can be viewed as two sides of the same coin. Although perceived differently, they both emanate from the same foundation, namely rhythm. There are many distinctions and differences to be sure, but those distinctions are eternal and interrelated within the African dance body. It is also a traditional dance, meaning that it is generational and recognizable by the community. It can be recognized by its steps, but never confused with just being done. The movements themselves do not change, but the rhythm provides the framework that instructs and informs the choreography, the performance, and the audience. To further understand African culture, African music and dance rhythm have to be at the center of any analysis. It renders new and different meanings each time, thereby opening new dimensions and creativity. Rhythm emanates from both the performers and the observer's worldview, thereby contrasting and affirming the entire community's perception of the event. In addition, all through Africa, a woman's ability to build children is essential to her identity, and this is reflected through the numerous initiation dances throughout Africa that usher her into adulthood. Body isolation is common in many African dances, with one part of the body being expressly articulated. In the Egyptian Baladi dance, commonly known as the belly dance, it is the abdomen. In the Zimbabwean Jerusalem, it is the legs and the hips. In the Ghanaian Adowa, it is the hands. And in the Benin Beni, it is the arms. African dances is in general, tend to be grounded, with a focus toward the earth. Earth is revered in most African cultures because that is where the ancestors reside, and the earth is the repository of the food for the people. Spectators become the dancers, and dancers become the spectators in many social and celebratory dances. Good dancers are valued as they are in any society, but the right to dance belongs to anyone. The right to dance belongs to everyone. Oftentimes, impromptu products like caps from soda bottles are used in musical instruments instead of the traditional metal that may typically be used. In addition, it is widely believed throughout Africa that snakes have the ability to rejuvenate themselves. The social implications of such a universal format are great and include call and response and interaction between the singers, drummers, and the dancers. In order for an event to be successful, everyone must be fully involved. In fact, to be silent is to be critical in a negative way, and to be still shows disdain and contempt for the performance. Dances from Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal are the most numerous in the text because scholars have done more research and documentation in these countries. Consequently, the dances continue to be passed on traditionally until more documentation in the form of videos, DVDs, and written text is available. The dancer may be embodying a spirit or deity and needs to be masked for the occasion. Chakaba wears a headdress with side fringes, and his body is clothed in an African print costume that covers the body to the top of the stilts. The legs of the stilts are covered in the same material that covers the body. In Benin, the Yoruba people do a stilt dance called Akporo, and the Fon people perform Sangbeta. In West Africa, military, war, and martial arts dances are performed by men, but there are exceptions in some ethnic groups where women participate in or have their own war dances. Pele Pele Ka Nebu G Ana means the little bird hops from one place to the other and is gone before people realize it. The women's war dance is danced by the Ghana women of Ghana, whose husbands have gone off to battle. Another example is the Ashia Bukor, a war dance of the Ewe people of Ghana, usually performed by war heroes to demonstrate the activities of the battlefield. It is a highly standardized dance, and the drummer must change its patterns continuously because they are correlated to each element of the choreography. The mother of the bride will dance this dance, celebrating the union of the two families. A cowrie shell covered bra is also standard performance attire, or they may wear a bella feta in combination with the cowrie bra. Men typically wear Arabic dress such as the Grand Buba, Turkey, Salvador, Farouk, Thioyas, and Davos. In community setting, all ages participate, including elders, and the basic movement does not vary for different dancers. Young people display greater variety, and the tempo might accelerate for a younger dancer. But the basic movement remains the same for all ages. The basic posture for the Manjani dance is with the knees bent and the upper body inclined forward at the waist, a forward pelvic tip. A chant is some of the dance and compares the female dancers to a stork. The body is layered with raffia, feather headdress, and ornamental belts. Dangme girls are taught the Otoko dance, which is said to symbolize the utmost in femininity. Its movements are designed to teach girls how a woman should walk and behave. The movements of the dance express feminine behavior, simple and delicate foot patterns, the gentle thread of the feet on the ground, the deliberately controlled swing of the hips, and a calm, composed demeanor are all characteristics of the Otoko dance. The significance is not the design and space or the color, but the signal, which can be seen in the waving of the scarf, similar to convince that the girl has come of age. So I guess it's something like I was in the debutantes. They hold every year they do the debutante ball at Virginia State, where it's like you're coming out into society. So I used to do African dance, and I want to get back into it, but like, am I too old for this? What exactly do I want to achieve with it? The beauty and virtuosity in these dances reside in their distinct characteristics. Before they did so, each of them showed her its special play, which she taught her people after returning home. When the people disobeyed the spirit's rule of being the drum every time a play was put on, Ekaneva was finally abducted for good. Ever since she has been the patron and guidance of the Achaean masculine society. Before the plays, members pray for a good performance, as well as for health, wealth, plentiful offspring, and peace. The mask danced until suddenly it began to circle. It then swept up to roof level and imitated and naturalized the ability of the bird to be airborne. The dance ends with the mask jumping off a roof, which it is believed to have ascended to unaided. The German orchestra consists of drums, flutes, and a gong that plays Egba Ezek, the music of kings, before the mask comes out. As the mask seems to be possessed by the angelic spirit, his burden begins to lighten and he goes into full motion. The climax of the festival is a sacrificial act by the Ekpe mask that reflects the struggle between good and evil. If it is successful, people believe there is a moral victory of good over evil. But the mask does. She stands for the beauty of womanhood. A coward stands for recklessness. He is troublesome and stubborn. And a guidewire performer must be strong and have a high level of endurance because it is the nature of the mask to be perpetually on the move and be very aggressive. During the procession, two of the accompanying men play ojane, metal gongs, and before the mask enter the arena, two adolescent boys play ekwe, drum, and oko. Agabo communions are regular and erratic, and when taunted by the accompanist, Agabo shakes his valiant body furiously, stamping and rushing at spectators until attempting to hold a rope restraining. This symbolizes the relationship between the living and the dead, Agabo. The purpose is to invoke the blessing of the mystical creature Tiyiwara or the deadly contrast between the Bambana people of Mali and the stubborn soul. The Bambana people believe that they were put in contact with all the elements of the universe through agriculture. Women who claim to be descended from fishing families perform Wawa Musanta, or the fisherman's dance. The body is carried in a forward high position, the hands imitate the collecting of fish. The hands progress into the water and slowly drawn to the waist, trapping the fish between the hands and the body as they are gathered. Mali Sadio is based on a Guinean myth in which a beautiful village girl falls in love with Mali, the river god, to whom she was promised at birth, and kills herself, and the young hunter who desires her kills the hippopotamus-headed god. A rough peasant woodcutter encounters a giant turtle, helplessly toppled over on his back. The woodcutter gently rights the turtle, which continues on its way with an amusing, awkward agility. The woodcutter takes it back to his gloomy village and marches aloud with a new happier time for the village, which in turn begins a round of exuberant dances. Near the bottom of the maxwell is a circular skirting of green color, which rests right underneath Nancy's dance steps. According to late Ghanaian scholar, professor and dancer A.M. Opoku, the Bamaya dance of Ghana is about a man who is hungry and does not have money to buy food. Men adorn themselves in skirts with frill around the waist to imitate the movement of a woman's hips in the Bamaya. Social and ceremonial dances are performed in both traditional and contemporary settings, such as a nightclub. However, it's not considered a cultural or traditional dance, but traditional people in villages perform it. The Takaya dancers of Ghana carry an iron rod and wear leather boots and a Berekele ensemble, flowing robe and trousers with an elongated seat. The dance is perpetually punctuated by the stamping of the feet and the striking together of the iron rods. Andre is performed in civic events now, but traditionally the dance was performed during marriages, funerals, and harvest celebrations. Second were those waiting to be born. Third were those who had passed on, the ancestors to whom film dances pay homage. The dance is performed largely by a group of men known as Society of Awa. There are 9 masks that are used in the dance, but the most common one is the Betty mask, which is made of black fibers and cowrie shells. Other accessories include dyed fibers that cover wrists, ankles, and lower portion of the body. A drum beating on the Odubo rhythm signifies the start of the dance, but there is a specific song that represents each of the 9 masks. Jornia is a Nigerian tea dance performed by men at the burial of an important man who has been victorious at war. Jibon is a dance for funerals or initiations performed by men who wear high rocky or polychrome collars to hide the base of a hamlet-like mask. The battle cry of the elders can also be heard in this dance. Iyam is a classical dance with roots that go back to 13th century Mali. After the kill, the Abaku dance is believed to purify the hunter with that special power that had been given to him for the specific purpose of enabling him to achieve his victory. The Badu dance in the Ivory Coast is part of a purification ritual. It is performed at the Badu festival every year in December to bless and purify homes and their occupants from all evil in order to begin the new year on a positive note. Males are entirely covered with black hair, made from tree bark, and they wear waist beads with a strip of cloth passed between their legs, headbands, leg bands called bazani, and Badu masks. These drums control the rhythm of the Badu dance. The black drum is for males, the salt drum is for females, and the pinch drum is the supporting drum. Okonkwo is a dance of the Igbo tribe. It displays the skills of the best dancers in the community and is danced by men who wear wooden masks, decorated wooden with calabash straps, an array of wooden headpiece, plastic waistbands, and numerous small bits of colored cloth on the bodies and waists, and white shorts and ankle ruffles. In some cases, the food obtained from hunting is shared by the members of the community. Bolimo, performed by the Mbutu people of Congo, is sung or danced after someone's death, when hunting does not go well or someone is ill. The men sing or dance Bolimo at night until the early morning, and it can last as long as 2 months, but there is no settlement. These legends bear witness to the importance given to fire by the Mbutu. An example is the Kalumi, which is a Kenyan music and dance type performed by adult men and women during drought season when the god Nge is asked to bring the rains. The harvest celebration includes the offering of the first harvest, the props to the gods, after which the people are free to eat the mountain. It is a cylindrical drum covered in wine at the top with goat skin known as Kithuma, Kiara, and Boy, and was played with both hands when the drum was slanted and held between the knees. Kalumi is also performed as therapy for those who are under the influence of a disease that is supposed to be caused by the possession of demons, a combo known as Anima. When the rains are delayed, the old women, assisted by some men, gather together, sing and pray to their God, and also to the spirits of the land whose favor or help them ask to bring down the rains. Ngutha is a very popular song that is danced to by young men and women between the beginning of the short winter to the early harvest. The drum stands of Ngutha are believed to scare away the rains, and as such, this music is performed sometimes when the people do not want much rainfall. The main dance begins with the recitation of Mwali poetry by the lead singing dancer Nguri, who touches on themes like playing affairs, warfare, and wealth. Ngoma and Bwazi is a dance and music tradition performed by men and women in East Africa to help a sick person who is possessed and drive away the bad spirit of the sick person. A little medicine or herbs are given to the patient by the doctor after the music and dance performance, which renders the sick person fit or restores her back to normal life. Nkambi is an initiation dance performed. It would be so awesome if you could just do that. Like, get up. Like, and I think it was thing like a man, Boris says to Regina Hall's character, get up. She's in a wheelchair. No, Real Husbands of Hollywood. It was him. He was like, get up, get up. I think about my mom, that, needs assistance, you know, for every little thing. Like she doesn't have strength to do anything, and it was that easy and simple. But I hear stories about people being paralyzed and coming out of it and being able to dance and do all sorts of things. So, you just hear stories of people who have, done it. Um, and I see her mom and she tries, she's, was like, well, I was like, I'm tired. She's in the bed in the hospital bed. And I'm like, I'm tired. She's scooting over in the bed. She's like, well, you can get in the bed. Right here. She's scooting over making she can be such a mom sometimes. Nkambi is an initiation dance performed by boys and older men of the Pabero tribe of Congo. The men tap a stick under their left arm with a shorter stick that is held in the right hand, and they dance around the village, playing a complicated but a tuneful rhythm, the different notes overlapping and in combination. Ngangazi is performed by the Pende people of Congo and is danced after circumcisions. The flat wooden board is beaten with a piece of carved stick and Nguma at one end to produce the loud sound. The master drummer puts the dancers through a series of different movements, always returning to the main movement, a central emphasis on the left hip that is initiated by the knee, while the torso is in a backward high position. The drill wall is both a dance and a festival that is performed by the Wadabi people of Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Chad at the end of the rainy season. The makeup, red, other ochre mixed with that is the same for everyone so that the dancers can be judged on the basis of beauty alone. So what I like about Africa is that that's something that they have. They have a rainy season. They have their season, they do dry and rainy, and dry and wet, or dry and rainy. And, with my last name, it just makes it where it's like accepted. Here the seasons are different. And sometimes the rain is dreaded by people. You know, they don't like it. Sometimes sports people don't like rain because, it makes it difficult to complete a game. The make or wear over major fact is the same for everyone, so that the dancers can be judged on the basis of beauty and line. When the dancers are ready and immense, fire is lit, and one of the elders advances to invite the dancers to begin the dance. They approach the fire in little groups, taking the short steps necessitated because their knees are bound. Without moving at first, they begin to intone a chant unique to their lineage. On the beat, the victors or dancers standing elbow to elbow on one line rise to the tips of their toes, slightly bending their knees and swinging their arms forward in a long, elegant motion. At the same time, they turn their heads alternately to the right and left, their broad, almost theatrical smiles showing off the whiteness of their teeth, and they open their eyes very wide. Then they fall silent, and others who stand in a row behind them answer in chorus. Low, dull songs sound as they stamp the ground with the flats of their feet, at the same time brandishing and twirling their ceremonial staffs. With another quarter turned to the same beat, the dancers return to their point of departure and realign themselves. They advance very slowly, their left hands held beside their faces and their eyes demurely lowered. The dancers move slowly forward, alternatively bending their knees and rising on tiptoe while nodding their head in time with the beat. In this dance, the emphasis is on facial expressions and differs from one dancer to the next, but all have the same purpose, to bring out the whiteness of the eyes and the teeth. Now, all competition dances are about beauty. No men are allowed to be present except those who are in the orchestra. The competitors line up in two or three rows, one behind the other, and move forward slowly, an inch or two at each step, while they thrust their chins forward and move their shoulders in time to the drums. When the front row gets up to the wall of the room, or to the limits of the dance floor, all dancers face about and move slowly as before in the opposite direction, the front row becoming the back one. Older girls and circumcised boys perform in Congo for recreation after the harvest season and before the rains come. The drums are beaten to call people to the dance in an arena specifically prepared for the performance. At the dance arena, girls select the boy they want to dance with. Couples stand facing each other before the dance begins. Then they start the dance by going down and bending their knees and getting up while straightening them. Although many recreational dances are tied to nature, others such as Tanzania's Beni dance originated in urban areas. The Beni was a response to British colonization, provided a sense of oneness for the people of Tanzania. The men do their best to make as fine and big a show as possible in order to eclipse the dance of the competition. Rival feelings sometimes run high, and if two competing dances happen to be taking place on the same night, it is not unheard of for one party to attack the other with sticks. The men dress up in their best clothes and wear Arab daggers and swords borrowed from their friends. Goat skin is packed to the wooden frame and is tied by stuffing of thick cord between the skin and frame. Sometimes the dancing is dispensed with and the entertainment is reduced to solo songs accompanied by the kananda. It usually has 7 strings, 6 of which formerly used to be made of sheep, but but are now made of twisted silk. While executing various steps and figures, two male performers hold a silk scarf or wooden shawl between them and repetitively advance toward the audience and retire. Dandaro is rarely danced by the upper classes and may be performed during the daytime as well as at night by both men and women. Warabi is a woman's dance that is often performed at weddings where metal nuts and cigarettes are handed around the tea. Now we're going to North African dances. Mass dancers can be found in some of the plains, leading researchers to believe that the people of the Sahara influenced both Egypt and Western Africa, both of which are known for using mass in their dances. Laborers were working in rhythm, encouraged by the voices of workers and by the sound of their tools striking the earth. A typical bricklayer of ancient Egypt received about 2.5 drachmas per day, a skilled weaver about 7.5. Isidore Lively received only 36 drachmas per day, showing the high regard for trained dancers. This freedom of the body is what largely separates ancient Egyptian dance from its successor, ballet dance. Egypt was a large and advanced power that began to branch out and accept foreign influences. They were gypsies who resided mostly along the southern Nile and in Cairo, and were terrorized and killed by the French ruler Napoleon Bonaparte in Chivalrous in the early 1800s. Napoleon never saw the the Wazi dance during its invasion because the Ghawazi refused to allow the French to view their culture. Ghawazi costumes changed in response to foreign influences, mostly by that of Turkish and Persian styles. The function of the elaborate rituals is not only to ensure this lawful succession to the throne, but also to let it be known and seen that the essence of the people's heritage is properly transferred from the dead monarch to the body and soul of the king-elect. By joining in, they become part of the process of restoring the stamp and legitimacy of the new breath. The Battle of the Armies is in effect a stylized group dance. In the mock battle, the king's army is victorious and he takes back his way. Cigarettes and butternuts are passed around to the dancers. If the dancers sing a chorus song and keep time by clapping their hands, the boomy is beaten in the same manner as the chapoy. A treble drum called mawazi is also used. The dance of the Muasadi is from Tunisia and is danced by women. Then they leave the ring and are replaced by two others. The women sing in chorus to the sound of buffalo horns that are being wishbone sticks. The leader of the dance starts singing a solo, usually a song of praise to the honoree, and the remainder take up the chorus, which is accompanied by rhythmic clapping of the hands and swaying of the body. Go-go is a woman's dance to rebellion, especially of socially approved cross-dressing behavior on the part of women, which believed to be for the common good. When the go-go men, who hold ritual responsibility for human and livestock fertility, fail in their duties, disorder reigns, and women assume the man's ritual roles and become the only active agents permitted to redress wrong. Shane Wei is identical to the Chama and is danced by the women batch from the Chama competition, which is judged by the Wazi, Wa, and Goma, or elders of the dance, men who are the masters of ceremony. The head of the opposition is supposed to take this as a compliment and pass it around a scent bottle, while sometimes taking part in the dancing himself. The Baladi is performed at weddings, birthdays, parties, and public festivals such as the Mawlid or Saint's Day. In a way, the dancers and musicians use their body to express their music. During a wedding, the band and dancers perform during the procession of the bride and groom to the hall of the festivity. Because the focus is on the bride, not the dancer performs a simpler version of the belly dance. So we might not finish all of what we might. The Pilates has few movements, but may include snake hands, undulations, side hips, shimmering, the hip roll, chest movements in chest and shoulder shimmies. Pilates is loved but not esteemed because it is not performed by the upper class. Pilates is not sexual and the movements are not looked on as sexy. Yet the belly dancer carries a stigma that she is using her body to make a living and thus is immoral. The dancers are usually of lower social class because to them economic gain outweighs social disapproval. This stress on class and education may go back to an early Egyptian tradition of a need for a dancer to be an Amma or a woman of learning. As entertainment, the Pilates can have a therapeutic effect. The dancer brings joy, happiness, and cheerfulness to those who watch. She helps bad moods vanish. The belt is usually beaded with long, swinging fringes, shows off the hips, and through the hips to dance. Women are the main performers of Pilates, although men have danced to Pilates and sometimes still do. Walking and dancing folks in Olympic Pilates is a very body-oriented dance. If one cannot see the muscles move, one cannot see the dance. Muscle control is essential to good dancing. A dancer has to be able to move each muscle separately. Also important is continuous movement of the body from the waist down. All in all, the movements of the body have to be in harmony and balance. One part should not distract from the overall movement of the body. The dancer has to be able to move softly without effort, like a fish in water. There are contrasting opinions on the origins of the ballad. Some say it originates from Turkey, with elements of Egyptian dance fused into it. Others hold that it is an ancient Egyptian dance with Turkish Ottoman influences. During World War II, European troops demanded that belly dance be performed as entertainment at nightclubs, which lowered its standards. More recently, the dance has been under censorship attack from the Muslim government, which has issued laws prohibiting certain motions and requiring belly dancers to cover their bosom and belly. In Egyptian Nubia, the main purpose of a Zar ceremony is to cure emotional or physical disorders through contact with the possessing spirits believed to cause such maladies. Before trying Zar, most patients have already been to diviners or healers, such as the sheiks and the hijab charm makers, who use the Quran, Muslim holy book, to exercise jinn. The setting of the Zar is usually a house with a very large room because the audience numbers from 30 to 100 or more. If the patient is a man, he is also adorned as a bride. The Sheikah begins the ceremony proper with songs and drumming. She does not seem as rude as the other dancers because the shoes limit use of weight. The native cure for Pepo is drumming in honor of the evil spirit, which is supposed to put it in a good mood so as to induce it to depart from the body of the possessed person. Pepo is classified as belonging to certain clans. Now, I don't know if an evil spirit can be in a good mood. I'm assuming that it cannot. The funny administers dawa, an herbal medicine to the patient to make the pepper speak so it can tell the funny what it will accept as propitiation for leaving the body of the patient. But I get what they're trying to say. They're trying to give it reason to go some other place, but not encouraging to go in another person, but to just leave. The ceremonies which are used to expel a pepper of this variety constitute a type that is followed with slight variation in exercise in almost all the genes believed to belong to Muslim people. The fundamental difference between the method of treating a traditional African pepper and Muslim pepper is in the substitution of strong perfume to the Turkish bath method in order to induce the pepper to declare himself. He discards his two white cloths, and if the pepper possessing him has been ascertained to be male, he dons a white kanzu, long sleeve garment as worn by men. Sometimes the patient rides a bull, and if this takes place, he wears his best turban, a sword, and a dagger. Later on, the swing becomes more and more accentuated until the progression to a state where jerks in the body of sufficient force move the stool on which the patient sits all around the room. Ultimately, he becomes sufficiently excited to stand up and dance with a sort of fighting step, moving backward and forward between the two lines of dancers to imitate his steps and gestures. A string of oval iron bells in juga is tied just below the right knee. The patient shuffles forward along, feet dragging, takes up position between two lines of dancers, one at each end of the room, and shuffles back and forth between them while waving the flag, switching the calabash, and still jerking the shoulders in the same manner but remaining in the same place. As soon as the patient is strong enough, dark blue cotton cloths are put on him, and he also wears a chambrere hat and a torso, which is a leather breast and back plate connected by straps over the shoulders and profusely decorated with beads and collar shells. The dancers form a circle one behind the other and move around and around with short, jerky steps in a counterclockwise direction and stamp their feet in time to the drums. They move the upper part of the body by alternatively throwing the chest forward and the shoulders back, and then the shoulders forward and chest in. From the outer edge of the drum is suspended a fringe composed of strips of colored cloth, which hang down to the pit of the stomach and front into the same level at the back. The patient wears a fly switch made out of the tail of a mule or giraffe and is loaded with castor oil. As soon as he or she begins, shows sign of movement indicates that she or he is about to begin to dance. A line is formed and one dancer at a time advances to where the drums are being played, jerks his shoulders forward, jerks his shoulders about, while bending over one of the drums for a few minutes, then suddenly stamping his foot, he retires a shuffling step back to his place in the line and another dancer comes forward and repeats the performance. On the last field of Peppo, Ya Ki Sanye ritual, the patient bounds a Turosi, and the dancers form a circle one behind the other and move around and around with short joyous steps in a counterclockwise direction while stamping their feet in time to the drums. They move the upper body of the shoulder of that part of the body by alternatively throwing the chest forward with the shoulders back, and then they move the shoulders forward and keep the chest in. A half-inch wide black line is also painted from the tip of the nose over the head to the back of the neck. On the 11th day, the patient assumes an upright position and dances, standing up between two lines of dancers. Both the line of dancers who face him will follow him, keep within a couple of feet of him, and dance the same shuffling step. On the last day, the patient eats a little fruit and delicacies for the benefit of the pepper. The Rasa warrior dance is performed by Arabs who bend their swords, bend their knees, and bow slightly in time with the beating of his arms. The Rasa was originally a war dance practiced by the Arabs in Arabia prior to starting out on a raid. A chapur drum supplies music for the Rasa dance, and a Rumi drum is also beaten in the same manner as the chapur. The sword is held perpendicularly in the right hand, the forearm being in the right angle with the body, while holding the hilt of the sword in a perfect balance between the thumb and the first and second fingers. The base of the sword is given a smart blow with the wrist so as to make the blade of the sword quiver. They bend the knee and the bow the body slightly and forward to each other in unison, and in time to beat the drums. So there are several. I remember Takuan, which is in DC. He actually got into the then president, which was President Bush. It's founded by Asani Contact. And right now they are planning an annual conference and concert. It's the 34th Annual National Conference and Concert. It is September the 1st to the 3rd in 2017. We're having workshop instructors and performing guest artists. Tickets are $25. I don't know if that's for the entire conference. And they are still in DC. Intense workshops in traditional African dance and drum taught by master dancers and drummers from Mali, Senegal, Liberia, the Congo, and Guinea. They haven't determined the site nor the host hotel at this time. But he works at Howard University, or he used to. That's on in contact. And he's from Africa. He established his own dance company in Washington, D.C. And that was in 1983 when he founded Conquering West African Dance Company. And the one that I used to dance for was Easy Be Winter. They're located in Richmond, Virginia. And then Michelle Obama, she was working for him. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Muntu African Dance Company. But I remember because it's similar to the one that I was dancing for. I don't know if she dances. It's actually the Muntu Dance Theater of Chicago. I think it's the one. So I don't see her name in this one. So this might not be the one, but there was one she was still active with it, even when President Obama, even when she was, the first lady. But I think there's only two. There's Easy Be Winter and the Muntu Dance Company of Chicago. And I think that makes sense because they're from Chicago. So I guess she had linked up with them in Chicago. So then we're going to Southern African dances. Other time, the biggest bird range of hills in South Africa and primarily range in age between 4,000 years old and only a few centuries old. The paintings are always on the north or east side of rock faces, perhaps to catch morning sunlight or because the good God traditionally lives on the east. It acquired the name because of the rapid striking movements made by the dancers accompanying the music of Joey Serena. In response to the European colonists' prohibition of the dance in the 1800s, the Zulu Council of Elders met to determine the best course of action to defend the dance to help such a sacred historical place for the native society. The chief was sent to the missionary who approached the band to explain the dance's importance as a sacred celebration. When the chief arrived at the home of the missionary, he told him that he had dreamed of the baby Jesus of whom the missionary had frequently spoken. In the dream, the baby Jesus was being born, and all the chiefs were going to Jerusalem to offer gifts and sing praise to the newborn child. In his dream, the chief said he had also seen the Zezu dancing celebrating the birth of Jesus. The chief then explained to the missionary that he wanted to be able to be allowed to perform the dance that he had dreamed of because it was a divine dance, and they should be permitted to perform it to commemorate the birth of Jesus. Despite the chief's inaccuracy regarding the birthplace of Jesus, the missionary was impressed with the story and agreed that the dance should be performed. Another version of the story proposed that the chief went to the missionary and told him that all significant events had to be commemorated by dance and music according to African tradition. He requested that his people be permitted to dance in celebration of Jesus Christ's birth. In this way, the Mvendi was born. To achieve their objective, the Shona lined up a group of old men with timbers called mokwas that were made of rectangular bricks of wood and gave a high-pitched sound when struck together, and ngomas, traditional drums, and hoshos, musical rattles made of boards. While the women were out on the field dancing, the warriors gradually emerged from their compounds to take up their martial positions behind the lines of dancers and drummers. The whole show players softly shift from side to side with gently bended knees and with their backs parallel to their bended knees. This hyperextension is suspended each time the Mughals and Ingramans cue them to begin their hip shaking. Europeans who come to Shona territory in the 19th century after the Matabele wave of invaders represented the first seeds of colonialism in which both the Shona and Matabele will be subjugated. The interrelatedness of the social, political, and aesthetic aspects of the dance allow it to be read as text for researchers and scholars to seek additional information about Zimbabwe culture and history. The bond is a sacred tribal dance from Malawi that's performed in ceremonies which Gede, the god of cemeteries and reproduction. After the boys and girls have been officially accepted into society as adults and sent home to their parents by the chief or clan leader, the Mdumi sponsors disperse into their respective groups to follow the new members of society. They make systematic rounds to every home where there is an initiate and dance there for some time before moving on to another. After 3 days of performance, the Medumu disappear and will not reappear until another initiation season, which could be 3 years or more. The Mozambique Makandi Medumu mask is much like a helmet, covering the entire head and worn at an angle, slanting backwards to allow air circulation to the neck, in the mask, the mouth, eyes, and of course the nostrils. The dance entails just swinging the body and rhythmic stomping of the feet. The sawa is a step dance performed in a semicircle in which dancers tie a number of rattles into one leg below the knee and perform a series of swift steps. 3 weeks after the groom's mother had visited the bride, the groom and his friends come over to bring cattle. The bride, her mothers, and companions dance at the same time in a separate group, one mother carrying the bride on her shoulders. Ukwingisia is a ritual washing the bride goes through in preparation for her wedding and marriage. During this ritual, the groom's mothers and girlfriends of the bride perform a dance. I'm just gonna stop there because I wonder, will I ever get married? Medicines are administered several times during the ritual. Her mothers instruct the bride and mothers-in-law regarding proper conduct as a wife and mother. The bride is carried first by one and then another of her mothers, while the other mothers and young women, with the bride raised high in their midst, dance back and forth. All the while, the bride holds a knife to shield her face and head. But after about 5 minutes, there is a short break during which the bride's mothers formally greets the mothers-in-law and receives gifts. Mushangara is a recreational stomping dance in South Africa that is performed by men. While they brandish shields, however, it is not a fighting or war dance. Ndulumu is breathtaking when performed with hundreds of men. Isikatulo, commonly known as the boot dance, was originally performed in Mission when dancing was outlawed and it was a form of protest. So I remember doing a boot dance, and I don't remember if it was a stick of doodle. I just know they refer to it as the boot dance. As hard and fast as the European stamp tended to be, it was not an indelible or penetrating one. African dance was found to be too licentious for the civilized Victorian Europeans. It was a cultural misunderstanding refused by the missionaries to interpret properly what they were observing. The dances were definitely energetic, sensual, and physical, but they were hardly the orgiastic events that the Quran is portrayed. Attempts to legislate, ban, or modify the dance were largely unsuccessful. From the Baladi dance in North Africa to the Djibouti Serena dance in Southern Africa, the will and determination to dance is indicative of the spirit of millions of Africans. Its beauty, vibrancy, and energy made the Jerusalem a therapeutic dance for many war-weary and exhausted combatants. Today, it's a natural dance having transcended its ethnicity to become a dance that all Zimbabweans embrace and proclaim its belonging to them. African dance has been an integral part of society for generations, and it often commemorates and celebrates birth, rites of passage, harvest, and marriage ceremonies. So the pulse of African dance is a humanistic one, and for centuries it has been the chronicler of history, traditions, and aesthetics. So that's why I was drawn to African dance because, I like the drums, I like the beat of the drums, I like it, but you ask yourself, is it only, and the dance company that I was with is a little different because they weren't like Asana Kante, they weren't from Africa, they're American. who Americans do African dance. So it was a little different than when you are taught by an African and you're like, well, is it something that I can be a part of? Will they teach the Americans the right things? Will they give them only certain things that they can do? Can we, can I really do this? And how can I contribute? How can I, you know, should I even try to contribute in that way in terms of, the rainy season and, and, then it sounds more about having a manager, like you should have a manager and, you know, commercialized during the season. So I don't know, right at this time, but I did make contact and I did say that I would go and talk to them and see, what can be done. Because the day that they have class, I can't come that day because I'm in church. I have committed to being a part of the ministry at church. So, how can I be a part of it? And how will I be a part of it? And will I be appreciated? So, the company that I had the opportunity to dance with was called Easy Movement. They're out of Richmond, Virginia. And it's different than Muntu Theater, which is out of Chicago. So I think they moved to a different place, a different location. They list on their website, easygoodmonster.com, the types of dances that they specialize in. When I started dancing with them, they didn't even have a website, and I was thinking they should have a website. But I want to do more commercial type stuff. And it says right here that they are seeking $3 million to purchase a church located East Lee Street for performances and training purposes. The cost for the site is $630, but they hope to do some improvements, some video conferencing, theater chairs, furnishings. It says the company has rented facilities to perform for 43 years, and the current occasion is crowded to the extent that it does not comfortably accommodate participants. And that way they have more space. So it's a church, 22 East Lee Street. They're looking for volunteers. They're looking for fabrics, feathers, leathers, beads, wearable masks. If you have the talent. But they seem to collaborate, and this is a red flag for me. They're collaborating with Dreams Black Repertoire Theater. theater and music arts. So I don't know about that part. Just because there was a fellow and that I had went out with, um, and he just really turned on me, and it was the weirdest exchange ever. That it was one of the weirdest exchanges that I've had with, with anybody. Um, very unexplainable, yeah, very unexplainable. And I'm hoping that he's not the one behind the Richmond Black Repertoire there, because then that would that would turn me off to wanting to go back and, because, you want a peaceful type situation, and I would question whether or not it could be. So I remember I had sent them something about um, coming to Petersburg and getting a place. So I think it's a good thing that they're looking at something that has more space, because it's saying that their participants is out is, it's becoming where it's not comfortable any longer. They need a bigger space to accommodate their participants. And I was going to say that it's been in operation for about over 40 years, and some of the founders are still with it and still dancing, which I think is an awesome thing. But the other one, so there's Easy Winter, which is in Richmond, Virginia, and there's Conqueron. I took a couple of classes there, which is in DC, if you're in the DC area. If you're in the Chicago area, I haven't had a chance to um, check out the Chicago Movie Theater of Chicago, but there's them. And then there's the guy that does the BAM, the Dance Africa. He does it in DC. I think he does it in DC. He does one, and he does the one in New York. And he has a company. Um, or he had a company. He's still African American Dance Ensemble. African American Dance Ensemble. He's the founder and artistic director of that. And I haven't had a chance to dance with him or to take any classes or to see how that works, how they are. I go, I make it. In African dance, there's a lot of call and response. When one person says I go, and like in church, they have one voice and many voices. So the one voice will say I go, then many voices will say I may. So in my church, they use that style as well. It's kind of like a call and response. checked into my Kitty Kitty page because as part of the show we have 3 Facebook pages, and one of them is a Kitty Kitty page where we use where we are addressing childhood growth and issues such as racism and race with it. And it's called Kitty Kitty. It's a Facebook page that supports our version of Hello Kitty. You know, because when people put out Hello Kitty, when you put out something to the public, you know, there's always, there's always a mission or a vision, but when it goes out to the public, you know, and it gets to the public arena, then it becomes a situation where the public has a view and the public has perspective and their own truth. And so that's what we bring with Hello Kitty. And of course, the Living Show BT has its own Facebook page. And like, I have gotten some likes with the Kitty Kitty, but I haven't gotten any likes with the Show BT. So, you know, it is a concern because this is something that I would like to see to fruition. And I'm still feeling out how it can go from where it is now to, you know, a nationally televised show. So if you happen to catch this, if you happen to listen to it, you take the time, your hour to share your time with this, we guarantee that we're not going to waste your time, but we will contribute to it. You know, you can definitely email at lateleteshowwithbt@gmail.com if you have any ideas as to how it can be televised or it can go from A to B to C to D. We're really open to your thoughts. So this has been a Late Late Show with BT. Bye.